Hello, and welcome back to the Little Western Model Railway YouTube channel. I'm James, and today we're checking out this NG7 kit-built locomotive sent in by Rob at the Kiln Line on this episode of Can I Fix It? Roll the intro. So, Rob sent this in a Class 03 Bachmann box, packed very well with tissue and capped off with a little bit of cardboard. Throwing all of that out of the way, getting my hands out of the way, and taking the locomotive out, first impressions are lovely. He's done a decent job of the paintwork, but it has a little bit of overspray. So we're going to sort all that out. You can see the white coupling hooks here, and later on you'll see the white of the chassis and the wheels. So, the cab also just comes off. And you can see the decoder just there, or I say decoder and PCB board and capacitors. It's just a mess, a wiring mess. Let's move on. So, putting the locomotive down on my programming track and using the engine driver app accompanying the DCC EX portion, we can see that the DCC address is just not reading. So, instantly I'm thinking there's an issue with the decoder. This is further solidified that as soon as I put it on live track, it shorts out. Luckily, I had nothing else on the track. And this happened after several tests. So that's enough for me to know I need to get along, disassemble it, and see what happens. So it was this point that I decided that I was going to completely disassembled chassis, starting with the two screws underneath the cab. These hold the chassis in place to the boiler, as well as being accompanied by two prongs and two hooks on the underside. Give it a gentle tug. This is where I notice the prongs, and I get a flathead screwdriver just to pry those out. It was at this point I discovered that there was a larger screw, so I decided to disassemble the entire thing. So that's coupling, space keeper plate, wheels, everything was coming off. Seemed easier. Here we are just looking at the pickups. Pretty basic supply, but the wheels were covered in white paint, which was causing another set of issues, so I'll clean these up as well. Bit of a fast forward, base keeper plate is off, and you can see that there are no bearings, just metal axles on metal chassis. They're a little bit dirty, no lubrication anyway, so it's all coming apart. A little bit of overspray there, again, all of which is getting cleaned up. Because at this point, I noticed the two front prongs, gave them a pinch, removed the solid metal bit of the chassis to access the gears and the motor. Now, just looking at the boiler itself, I was trying to figure out the best way moving the boiler out. Luckily, the footplate with the pickups came out quite easily, so very easy to access that with the soldering iron. But I noticed that accessing the gearbox and the motor was going to be nigh on impossible. It seems that while Rob was building the kit, he'd super glued underneath the safety valve. Two bodies were just fused together. So here I'm just using a multimeter to make sure that things that should connect are connecting, and things that shouldn't connect are not connecting. Pretending I'm knowing what I'm doing here. But essentially just want to make sure that the circuitry is showing what it is. When I tested the decoder, it just didn't seem like it was working. So I opted to completely replace it. I thought I was giving him a Hornby Sapphire decoder. I ended up giving him a Pilot version 2. So upgrade? I don't know. It was at this point I decided to do all the cleaning, so I got a little brass brush out that I've had for donkey's years, and just to give it a clean up with my hands in the way. Again, terrible camera angles. A little bit of a brush provided most of it. I then managed to get some isopropyl alcohol with some cotton buds just to give it a more detailed clean and a shine. Then I tried to do the pickup. Then I tried to do the couplings. I managed to get most of it off, but Rob said he was going to be repainting anyway. Now moving on to desoldering. My terrible soldering iron and terrible soldering skills. There are 3 pickups on the motor housing for a brown, orange and yellow wire coming off of this PCB. And it was a little bit tricky to get it without having the boiler coming off, but I managed it okay. As you can see, a little bit of a tight squeeze in there for my soldering iron. I didn't damage anything on the inside. I did check to make sure before I sent it back. And then again on the other side, I did think about using a helping hand here, which you'll see in a few moments, but I think this was just easier. Next, desoldering the pickups themselves. These are going to in turn get it clean with isopropyl alcohol. Did before resoldering the decoder and hardwiring it. So red and black wires to the pickups. So, honest to God, I have no idea what happened. I don't think I hit record, but I resoldered the decoder back together and then went again and did some testing. With that, today's shout out goes to our very own The Shunting Yard, hosted by myself, Rob, Dan and Hilton on Thursday nights. Go and check us out. I'll leave a link in the description below. So here we are down on the rolling road, just doing a very quick test run before I go through and do even more cleaning. It's at this point where I start to realise whether or not the axles need a bit more cleaning or whether any more lubrication is needed. Simple using DCCEX, sending it back and forth on the rolling road. Simple testing. So this is speed step 1 out of 28. And I'm sorry to say it's a Hornby decoder. But reverse to forward. And this is with 1 cotton bud's worth taken off, and I haven't cleaned my track today. I think that's pretty acceptable, don't you? Let's bring it back. So I didn't manage to get any other shunting footage, at least usable stuff. It was all corrupted. So Rob, once he received the locomotive back, kindly sent me some running shots here for your viewing pleasure. So I'm just gonna keep quiet for now. And so we come to the end of this video. I've really enjoyed putting this back together for Rob, and I'm very, very thankful for him for sending it to me and trusting it to me. So, I'm going to leave this with, if you like the video, leave a like. If you want to stick around for more, hit the sub button. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next one.